And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we're the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
And not only that, but we're also the founders of Codename.
And we're going to be your host for this episode, every episode, all the previous episodes.
Unless we're not, but we were of the previous ones, but in the future, maybe. Yeah, okay.
I mean, I think that'll work. Good enough, right?
Today is our 26th episode.
And you'd think that after 25 other episodes that we would be getting pretty good at these intros.
Alas, there is evidence to the contrary.
Very recent evidence. I think it's because we're just rusty because of the Christmas break.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I thought it was pretty clever.
Yeah. We are here to answer your development and design questions about Idle Champions.
And if you don't ask any questions, you're going to have to suffer through Justin's one-man Wait, Beowulf? Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, from memory.
Really?
Well, I mean, they're going to ask us questions, right?
I mean, you're going to have to hope so now.
Anyway.
Right. As always, we have pulled some questions forward from previous shows that we didn't get to, and we'll answer some of those while we're waiting for other questions to come in. And on top of that, I do have some new items, some items that we tagged last week to be looked at by the development team, and I'm going to start with those. Okay, so from the questions that were tagged last week, and I went over them with Peter this morning, actually, so he's got a list of them, and he's going to get those in the next update, which will be going out sometime next week, hopefully. And these questions, well, actually, let's see the ones that I got that we are going to tackle. Okay, so the first one is, there was a request for filter checkbox on the journal loot page. Specifically, the request was around removing gem items. I think they were looking to sort of see like the chest loot stuff more easily. And so that's on the list, and hopefully will be in the next update. We also have the request to open, those are the requests which we did discuss on the stream last week about opening more than 50 chests at once, but the option that we landed on was just an open another 50 button that will follow up after you do a bulk open. So to just be prompted again, would you like to open another 50? Would you like to open another 50? And you can go through that way and get them opening. Hopefully that'll make that easier. The next bit is the request for clicking and holding to buy multiple patron perks at once. So that's in there. And then a lock layout on the Modron core page, because it sounds like it can be a struggle especially if you're doing it on a tablet, you want to click and drag around, but then you end up picking up a piece and moving that instead. So we're going to add a lock view on that, or a lock pieces, so that you can drag the view around without an issue. Cool. And that is the list from last week that we've tagged to get looked at, and we will be adding more to that this week. So with
That's true.
Let's get into the leftover questions.
Yeah, I pulled some questions forward here. So we'll just get right into them. So Eddiert1, actually, from last week asked, would it be possible to get a way to disable speed boost temporarily? Sometimes it's possible to speed the game up so much that it's hard to accomplish some things. A simple checkbox would probably be easiest, while a slider, speed percentage, would be more flexible. What do you think about that? I think we've talked about this before.
I mean, this is something that would be technically quite simple to do. I think the question, there's sort of two questions around it. One of them, of course, would be sort of, well, and actually this opens three questions around it. The first question would be, where would we show a UI piece like that? To sort of temporarily disable that. The second question becomes, would it make sense, like the slider question here, like a speed percentage seems like it's a game mechanic changing bit that I think you'd want to think about in more detail. Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the percentage slide?
It feels to me like that might just be a little bit more complexity than a feature like this would need. I think if we're just looking to turn it off so that you can do something that is hard to do while things are zipping around, or you're like changing areas really quickly, then I think like a toggle would probably be best. I think we've talked about this previously, of adding like a pause button in that literally just pauses the game until you click unpause, or until a certain amount of time has passed, because we don't want to accidentally have you leave the game paused and then get up and walk away and come back, and a couple hours have passed with the game with nothing happening in the game. So yeah, I feel like a slider. I feel like a slider is maybe over engineering a little bit too much.
Yeah, and I know people have previously also asked about sort of turning off buffs.
Being able to right-click buffs and just turn them off.
Nope, I don't want this buff. I'm done with it now.
Yeah.
Which always leads to the possibility of doing that by accident and then losing that buff, which is not something we'd want to be able to do. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a request that we get on the regular basis, because of that very reason. Things get too fast, and then it's tricky to change up the formation. Yeah, I think we need a little more thought on that, but I think we could do something like that for sure. Yeah, like from a technical side, that would be fairly simple to do. It's just a question of where that would go and what it would look like. Yeah. Okay, next question here is from JDog2773, asking, will the time gate buckets get adjusted as more year 3 champions get retired?
Yeah, so we've got a bit of a plan for time gate stuff moving forward. Trying to make sure that there's just a good distribution of sort of champions that are still available and champions that are no longer available in the sort of the free time gates that happen every 3 weeks or so. So yeah, it's something that we're looking at, and we will continue to look at. And we are considering potentially adding like an additional slot there. So there's 4 champions you can choose from on the free time gate weekends, or making some other changes there. So yeah, it's something we're looking at.
Okay, next question we've got here is from Everyday J13. Any plans for more Modron cores?
There are, yes, Everyday J13. There are plans for more Modron cores, and we actually know where, we think we know at least, where we're going to release those and how we're going to release those. So stay tuned. Hopefully towards the middle of the year, we'll have some interesting stuff for you there. I said hopefully. I didn't guarantee it though. And then there's a question here from I remember this guy. It's Mike's
Mike's dev kit.
The Mike SDK 2, who asked last week, why do the gems found in a background party not count towards patron challenges?
Well, looks like there's an answer written here in the doc next to it.
Yes, I wrote it just in case you weren't aware of this.
Bracket answer, it's a bug, semicolon, we're aware of it, bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a bug, and we're aware of it, and it is something that we're likely going to be putting a bunch of effort towards fixing kind of challenges that don't work quite right in offline progress pretty soon.
Why would we do that?
Because we like to make the game work good.
But no particular reason, of course.
No particular reason.
Certainly no particular reason at all.
Nothing I can particularly talk about now.
No, definitely not.
Stay tuned for that year-end dev blog.
All right. Cool. Let's get into the new questions then. First question of this week is from Garwar, and following up from last week. Have you figured out what is causing the mysterious damage loss that arrived with the patch on the 5th? If not, is there anything that we can do to help track it down?
So I think we figured out what this was. I think it was a blessing or a perk of some sort that had the wrong effect value in it. So this was a bug fix. There was something that was supposed to increase the damage of particular champions for each one of those that you had in the formation. But instead it was increasing the damage of all champions for each one of those things. I noticed this scroll by. It had a global DPS instead of a individual hero DPS flag, and so that bug got fixed. But it happened over the Christmas holidays. Peter just noticed it and fixed it. There was a bug report or something, and so it got fixed, and it unfortunately did not get included into the changelog that bug was fixed. So that is as far as I know what happened. I believe that some folks in the Discord helped us track that down, which is very helpful. So shout out to those guys. I don't have the names on here of exactly who it was who helped out, who helped track that down. But yeah, I believe that's what that was. It's a bug fix that did not get included in the changelog.
Really? After all that talk of the changelog last week.
I know, right?
All right, next question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna pronounce this.
Come on, it's no problem.
Hiskin Gixon. I got nothing. Okay. The question is, even though I can't pronounce the name, as right now it kind of stinks when you get Briv in a complete areas patron challenge because you don't get credit for areas you skip, but it still burns the stacks. Could you either give us credit for skipped areas or remove Brig from the pool of heroes for those challenges, or give us some way of turning off his jumping?
Yeah, so we were talking about this. This came up in some internal channel earlier in the week, I think it was.
Yep.
And my feeling on this was that it is kind of a little bit funky that you have to kind of burn stacks to complete the challenge, but it doesn't actually like change how hard that challenge is to do, because whether you complete an area with Briv and then jump 5 areas, or just complete an area with Briv and don't jump 5 areas, you're still completing an area with Briv, and it's taking the same amount of time as if you were skipping or not. So it doesn't actually make the challenge take any longer to have that in. It just makes it so that, yeah, you might have to reset a couple of times and set up that formation again. So at this point, I don't have any plans to kind of change how Briv is acting in the in those challenges, but I'm open to a convincing argument one way or the other. If you guys want to chat about that in chat, and I can just watch the Twitch chat as we go. Let's see. Here's a question that I highlighted for you, Dave, from Zhao Wang. Who says, I am playing in window mode at resolution 2560 by 1440, and when I finish a mission and I get an achievement, it blocks the skip button. Can you move it?
Oh, now does it refer to the achievement or the skip button?
So I think it's on Steam.
Does it matter?
On Steam,
is it a Steam achievement?
The Steam overlay pops up right in the bottom right corner. Now the thing about this is, I believe...
You can move that.
I'm like 90% sure about this, that you can just click right through that Steam achievement. I'm fairly sure that's the case, because I have certainly run into this myself, not even at at any sort of resolutions. If you know there's a skip button behind there, you can just click right through it. So that would be my suggestion for the time being.
Yeah, I bet you can.
Yeah, it seems like people in chat are saying that you can. So just click right through that.
Yeah, Eric is confirming it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think that problem solved itself.
Problem solved.
I like things that solve themselves.
Here's another question that I thought we might have...
I think we kind of touched on this at the beginning.
Did we touch on this one already at the beginning?
Sure, but we can...
Biocron is asking this week, any update on the open 50 more chests /contracts button mentioned a couple of months ago?
So as mentioned off the top of the stream, we have the 50 more chests one coming. Nothing on the contracts. We haven't looked into that. I don't know if we'd planned on that one or not. That one, I don't think we had any discussion around that, but definitely on the chests. That one's coming.
I see in chat there that Snobbinger is mentioning that my green screen is working a lot better this week than last, and that's actually because I was streaming from home last week, so I had no green screen at all. It was just whatever the camera does to replace a bright white basement background.
Yeah,
this one is actually green.
It's true. Real chroma key works better than the software background removal. Yeah.
So someone was messing with this one and had the chroma key color set to like a gray, so it was like only replacing parts of my face when I sat down. So I had to reset it. So maybe resetting it also helped it look good as well.
I think it was it Sean who was last in there? Yeah, that would have been the last stream, right?
Sean.
Yep. Okay. Next question we have here is from Emmett, asking, how are you feeling about Rust performance as support, ignoring Goldfind? I'm finding his buff is even lower than Corazon's. Oh, I'm going to say that wrong, aren't I? Corazon's. Justin, correct me.
Corazon.
Is it Corazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With equal gear and high favor. And Corazon's already lower than the most recent support. It's very sad.
So Rust was intended as primarily as a Goldfind champion, and so for his support numbers, we kind of balanced him a little bit on the lower end. The idea being that his Goldfind would make up for that lower. Basically, you can't get quite as far, but since you can get more gold in a lower level, you'll get a similar amount of favor, and that's sort of where he's balanced around. With that said, I did intentionally go a little bit on the lower end with support because I wasn't sure how his abilities would work with his support ability that's basically based on your Goldfind exponent. So there's room to give him some tweaks there and buff him up a little bit. And we probably will end up doing that in sort of future soft cap increases or any sort of balance passes that we do on him. So, yeah, but I think he's pretty good at Goldfind, good in those Azaka farming, good if you're just trying to grind up a whole bunch of favor near your wall. So, yeah, pretty happy with that part of him at least.
Where are we at? Sorry, I was highlighting other questions.
Come on back up to question 8.
Question 8 is from Wandering Bereft. And the question is, your favorite question, how is that
I highlighted this one myself.
And dev blog coming along?
It is coming along so well. I have not yet started it.
It's the 13th, right?
Yeah, I didn't say the end of which year it was going to be for, but no. Yeah, it is still on my list of things to do. I just have to get to it. I've been doing some other really exciting stuff that's been much more fun than writing blogs.
Like what?
So,
huh?
I can't really talk about that right now, but soon I'll be able to talk about it.
Is that like soon TM?
It's codename soon, so it's indeterminate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question we have here is from Terengar. Terengar asks, a little while ago you mentioned that you were thinking about adding a way to stick Briv's jump point, possibly with feats. Has there been any progress on that?
Yes, in that we are pretty sure we are going to do it with feats. It's just a matter of finding the right place to slot that into the dev cycle and get it done. So yes, we're going to do it probably that way, and there hasn't been any progress aside from we've made that decision pretty definitive. So it's still coming. Okay. It's on the list. It's on a list somewhere. Let's see. Here's now I got this guy.
Question here, yeah.
Yes, a question from he's Jing Zixon.
For some reason, if you hover over it in the doc, it separates it and says he skin Gixon. Is that like a suggested edit? I think it's a suggested.
It's a suggested edit. This is Google suggesting that we just take this person's name and make it a different thing. I think there should be an apostrophe. It should be he's Jing Ixon. That's what I think it is.
Maybe they can give us a phonetic pronunciation in the chat.
Yes, we're going to need a phonetic pronunciation.
Let's have the question.
This person's question / comment says, I can't see it myself anymore, but my friend recently said he's been avoiding doing split the party because the text says something about it being in beta. Could that description get updated maybe? So this is when you click on the split the party thing and it says multi-party and Modron stuff is in beta. Use at your own risk type of thing.
That's
so yes,
true story.
Let's discuss that warning.
Well, I think we were hoping to pull that warning when we'd been through enough bug fix passes on that we felt that sort of was in a condition that we could pull that beta tag off of it. And that's been a very long road. I know we were hoping to be able to do that with after the next round of sort of fix pass on that. I think that's probably about the right time for that. But we do still have a few items that we're working through on that to get into a better state, as probably a lot of people in the chat are aware. So once we've got it to that state, then we'll pull that description.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than it was when it started, though. I'll give it that.
It is much better. Like in the last 6 months or so, we've made a lot of progress on getting that more to a state where we're happy with it. There are definitely still some issues with it. Like we talked earlier in the show about the gem stuff and challenges. Like that would be something that's related to that sort of beta warning that doesn't work quite right, but it's something we're aware of and we're going to try and get fixed up. So I think our hope and plan is to get rid of that sometime this year. But it keeps on getting bumped back. Yeah, there'll be some notes about it in that year-end dev blog. So yes, it's definitely something that we're continuing to work on.
I mean, is there like a tag that's between beta and not in beta anymore? Sort of at that stage, they're like,
well, let's just go down the Greek letters. What are some other Greek letters that everybody knows now? We'll put it into gamma and delta. This is in delta. This feature is now in Omicron.
Anyway, next question is...
Let's do it.
It's from Volcas. And the question is, or comment is, I've got suggestions to improve trials in the public bug tracker. Oh, okay. They've got suggestions that are in the public bug tracker, but is under review by a developer for a week and is not in the list. Is it working okay and you can read it, but you don't want others to see it, or have I done something wrong and need to submit it again? Okay.
Yeah. So this is a good question. This is I think actually just a bug in the bug tracker right now, where Peter messaged me on Monday when they were going through the bug list and saying that there were some things that they couldn't hit the tick on to approve them. So I've got to take a look at that and see why we are unable to approve some things to make them show up in the list for everyone. But we have seen it and read it. The team goes through those every week, every Monday at 10 a.m. And so yeah, it's just a matter of I got to get in there and figure out why that approval process is not working in some cases. But yes, you don't need to take any action, Vodcast. Let's see. Oh, there's a bunch of questions down here. Here's a question from Alfacroll, who asks, are dev questions that are not answered looked at and potentially worked on if needed, even if it's not read aloud?
That's a good question.
Like questions in Dev Insights?
In the Insights. I mean, we certainly read every question.
I read every single question.
Most of the questions that get tagged to be looked at are ones that we read aloud, but usually it's because they catch our eye when we're looking at them. I don't think we've come across one that wasn't read aloud that we did then look into.
I seem to recall that I've done that one time where I sort of... So we've basically, the way this works is our lovely moderators, Martin and Mars, copy your questions into basically a shared document that we look at, and we go through and we sort of pick out ones that we think are right in our wheelhouse, and we highlight them in a certain color. I've got green, Dave's got blue, and ones that we think we can both kind of speak to are in purple. And then what we do is, as we're going through, if there's items that are actionable, we'll just mark them in yellow. And then we can kind of go back through the doc and find all the yellow stuff and pass those on to the developers who are working directly on the game. And I believe at least once or twice I've gone through and preemptively marked something as yellow. And I can't guarantee that we actually spoke to that on stream. But it is pretty rare. It's like Div says, 99% of the time, if there's a question that we're kind of interested in addressing, we will read it on screen.
Yeah, if it catches our eye, we usually read it. And then, of course, there's the ones that we don't end up with enough time for, which get pushed into the next week's show. Usually we do go through those at the beginning, through the prep period we do before we go live. And that's when those get either put at the front or tagged for that, or tagged as need to be looked at as well. So.
Yeah, and occasionally there'll be questions that we don't speak to on stream, and oftentimes they're ones that just are really getting to the weeds that we don't really have a good answer for, or we don't want to talk about at that time, or sometimes we just don't understand the question, and so we kind of skip over those ones because we don't really want to spend your guys' time just trying to decode what a question is asking. For example, the one right above this question. I have no idea what that is asking. So yeah. So let us move on to some more questions.
Sounds good to me.
Here is a question from Maniac Clown that is highlighted in blue, which means I get to ask it to David. That says, could we please get a way to level our champions up by a number, times 100 or 50 or whatever, and get all the upgrades for that jump in levels? You can do times 100, but then you've still got to do all that clicking, basically making bulk leveling pointless with the need for all that clicking of, assumedly, of the upgrades.
Yeah, so this is a question that has been asked before, and it was on Peter's list, and I know he went to do it, and then he ran into some complications and never got back to it. So actually, this is one of those cases. I'm gonna tag this one and bring it back up with Peter, but I know he was looking into it. Oh, that is the wrong yellow. So he was looking into it, and I know that it wasn't quite as straightforward as he was hoping that it would be, because there's actually a lot of steps that go through in that or in that level jump process, because as it goes through, it has to figure out which upgrades to apply, and then if there are choices like when you get hit a specialization or something like that, then it has to take a different action, and that code does get a little bit. It's a little bit stringy, I guess is the word I would use for it. And it's also accessed from a number of different places, and so modifications in there have to be careful that any changes that are being made in there don't have some unforeseen consequences, unintended side effects when they're being called from, say, when a familiar calls those functions. So I know Peter was nervous about just making a change that he thought would do it, but wasn't going to be able to check the make sure that he didn't end up inadvertently breaking something. So I'll bring that up again with him. I know he was looking into doing it, and just didn't quite get there. Okay. Oh, you've gone and highlighted all the questions.
I've highlighted more questions, especially these large ones right above that last one. Yeah.
As long as they're names I can pronounce, we're good.
Okay.
The question here is from Hulsman. Can we please get
Seems right.
an across-the-board ultimate damage buff? These abilities are usually only ultimate if they provide some debuff. The main reason is they don't out-damage a Fire Breath pot. Most players consider 2 alt items on all champions a complete waste of item levels. I have 70k levels on evergreens. None of my evergreens can do any damage with their alts because of a single Fire Breath pot. Not even Nayeli with her GE alt damage item. Krond has an alt damage upgrade. Most champs.
Seems like this one ran out of steam.
All right, I don't know if that.
But
was,
yes,
okay.
I think I get the gist of what the players.
It just trailed off.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some work to be done with ultimates there. I mean, ultimates are generally the damage they do is similar to one click from a Fire Breath pot. Like I definitely. Can see that, and so I think there's work to be done there. We spend a lot of time. Well, we don't spend a lot of time, but we've spent some time in the design team talking about ultimate items and how they are kind of widely considered to be a waste of item levels and a waste of item slots. One of the big challenges for us is what do we replace those with if we were to change them into not ultimate damage items, because just adding 2 more global DPS items to every support would be kind of boring. So I think if we're going to the approach we will probably take is trying to buff ultimate damage so it feels more impactful. But I think we have to find the right level of that, and that'll be something that we'll certainly work on once we have some more cycles.
You could shake the screen more when they hit. That'd make it be more impactful. All right. Unless, of course, you've unchecked that option, in which case. Next question here is from Excalibur Storm. It's a question/suggestion. Please consider adding the option for regular Trials of Mount Tiamat members.
I always read this as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Members to join the game lobby before the timer resets.
So I think what you're asking is just the ability to start another campaign before that 7-day timer is up, and that is something that we are looking into doing. I think we've actually let Peter know that he can go and pull the trigger on that and drop it down to 6 days in order to reduce some of that drift. And we've now in our weekly production meeting, we've gone through my list of massive, not massive, but some significant Trial of Mount Tiamat adjustments, and so those should start to trickle in over the next couple of months.
I mean, it was a large document, at least 2 pages.
It was 2 or 3 pages of detailed bullet points, and there was only one thing that we still haven't resolved on that we got to that we've got to sit down and talk about.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that meeting.
It was a full derailment on that particular point.
Went on for like 45 minutes talking about one thing.
Yep.
Anyway, yes, so we are working on some stuff there, including some adjustments to the cooldown.
Well, at least we're getting cheers for 6 days in the chat. So.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay. Moving on to the next question here. We got one from Volkus. When a friend asked me what I'm doing and I got the answer, well, I need to kill my heroes 100 more times to progress 5 more areas because Strix is in it. He just walked away without words. Azaka farming or Kira or Baaloth Jin stacks take a lot of time. It makes no sense and feels like sick game mechanic manipulations, but you have to do it because they give you a lot of power. I think I got the emphasis right there.
Yes, those words were in caps.
Yeah. Those mechanics should not exist and should be, I feel like this should be capitalized as well. Been discussed with players on how to replace them with something that is more fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think this is a really cool point, Volkas, and I appreciate you bringing it up. It is not something that we look to do, is to have these kind of edge cases in there that players can kind of use to get more power. That tends to be very emergent in terms of what players find for this kind of thing, and I'm not a huge fan of game mechanics, intentional game mechanics that require a lot of fiddliness. But with that said, with everything I just said, I also don't necessarily have a problem with emergent behavior that people find that lets players feel like they're kind of gaming the system a little bit and getting a bit of an advantage, as long as it's not an enormous advantage or an advantage that kind of ruins their own play moving forward. And that's why, for the most part, we balance most things around not having to use any of these particular mechanics. It's why some of the trials changes that we're going to be doing are about sort of pulling the difficulty down rather than pumping it up more, and making sure that more players can kind of get in there without having to do Azaka farming or Jin stacking or like the Strix haunted stacking and stuff like that. So I think that mechanics like this, I think it's fine if they exist, as long as they're not necessary for progression. Because I think it's fun when players kind of can make use of them and get a little bit further. And it doesn't super bother me in those situations. It does bother me when you start to feel like you have to do it in order to progress. And so that's kind of the main thing that we want to avoid. And the way that we will avoid that is by making sure that, for the most part, the stuff you have to do doesn't require these. With that said, we do put some really challenging stuff into the game sometimes, and stuff like this will help you beat that challenging stuff faster and easier than if you just kind of wait for that power to kind of naturally come from soft cap increases and whatnot. So, yeah.
Okay. There was an update to the question above. I don't know if you want to
yeah, I see that. Martin pasted in here that Excalibur Storm says, I wasn't asking to start the new trial before the 7-day timer reset, but only ability to join the game lobby before the timer resets, so all members aren't forced to come online within the same time window every week. So I think this is asking about being able to join a trial after it has started, but before it has ended, I guess. Or join the game lobby before the timer resets. Just being able to join the lobby, but then not actually able to like start the campaign before.
Yeah,
so preemptively join a lobby.
The question is about having a game ready to go.
Ready to go.
But you can't push the button until the timer's up.
Yeah, I see.
Wouldn't that be a little awkward for all the players? Because you'd have to be, whenever a player joined, you'd have to wait for their timer, or the longest timer would become the timer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think setting the cooldown to 6 days is probably just a better solution than trying to finagle it. So it's still a 7-day thing, but you can start right away at the end of that 7 days. So yeah, I think that the solution we have in place is probably better than what you're suggesting here. It's also way less work for us.
Doesn't matter how you measure it better.
I think it's win-win.
It's got less moving parts, less can go wrong.
Exactly. The best part is no part. Some crazy rocket scientist said that.
It's something to be said for elegance.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question here is from JDog2773. And Jedi would like to know, can the forge cost and countdown timer be placed on the first legendary forge page?
So I highlighted this question for a couple of reasons. The one thing is, no, we're probably not going to move that, but only because we're probably going to be changing a lot of how that forge cost stuff works. So we're not going to be spending any time sort of tweaking the existing dialogues, because we're going to make a bunch of changes that make it way better. And it looks like we're starting a giveaway. So there's a keyword. The keyword is oxidization, if you can spell that correctly, or maybe it's oxidation.
It's just oxidation.
Oh, it's just oxidation. Martin typed the wrong word into our document.
I think oxidization is not a word.
You don't think oxidization is a word?
Oxidize is the word, and oxidation is the act of something being oxidized, but it's not oxidization. You've added extra letters.
It appears you're right, yeah. But you know what? Longer words are better because they make you seem smarter. So I'm gonna say oxidization is allowed. I'm gonna allow that in my Scrabble game.
Not oxidatively?
Oxidationally. Yeah, anyway. So yes, there's a giveaway going on. If you say that word in chat that everyone's spamming in chat, you've got a chance to win 42 chests of your type, or of your chosen type, of your choice, of your choice type, of a type of your choice.
How do I know?
We're
if
really
the
good at this.
Are my type, Justin.
We've done this 26 times. We're really good at it. Don't worry. Luckily, we're better at making games than we are at producing streams.
It's all fine here. How are you?
Yes. Lousy conversation anyway. And now we're going to get sued and copyright infringed by Disney.
Nope.
Anyway, here's a question from Alfacroll, who asks, could you have a Reddit dev Q&A occasionally, like once a month? Sometimes it can help to have the community vet through the comments and choose what they want answers on and bring more comments/additional info. We don't have time for that on the stream in general, yeah. On Reddit, you could open the thread for several hours before you open them.
Answer them.
Sorry. Dyslexia.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of I do like the idea of having a sort of more detailed and in-depth opportunity to answer some of these questions. I know, like Justin and I did used to do that in the past for our, well, I think actually originally for this game, but also for our previous games where we get an opportunity to go in and have a more detailed answers. And at this point, I guess other people have that opportunity to answer those questions, but it's not given directly to a developer.
Yeah, we still do the Reddit Q&A, but it's with the community team,
Yeah.
who still know a lot about the game and can answer a lot of those questions and pass on any sort of, like I see technical questions come from the Reddit Q&A and go into our internal chats all the time. So
yeah, but the tricky bit, of course, is that the primary purpose, like our primary job outside of getting to do these streams, of course, is doing the actual development and design work. And so it is a careful balance in how much time we spend answering questions or interacting with the community, which is obviously part of the reason why we have people whose jobs at this point are dedicated to doing that, rather than having us do it, because it does take away time from the actual production. So like I say, it's a balance. And so while I do think this is a cool idea, I think it would be tricky for at least Justin and I to find the time to do that in addition to what we do with the stream.
Yeah. The stream is really nice because we can kind of just we spend about half an hour or so prepping before the stream, and then we can pop in and it's a nice quick way for us to interact with you guys. I always look forward to it every week.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question from One Slayer. Why was the mechanic removed that shows how many champs qualify for Ashara's bonds? Wait, they removed?
I don't think it was. If One Slayer, if you're still in the chat, can you verify this? Because I literally just today I was seeing that. In fact, if anything, we've actually gone through and added this mechanic to more specializations, so it should still be there. Tobarja is saying it doesn't show up if she's not in the formation. That would be interesting.
Could be true.
So if you don't place her in the formation, then it doesn't show up. That would be an interesting kind of edge case.
I wonder if that's how it's detected.
It definitely could be.
Could be how the code was written on that. It could be checking the. Are they checking the tags, or are they actually checking what the number of targets that formation ability is returning? Oh.
Yeah, it could record. It might be because you need it to get in. Yeah, she needs to be in the formation. Yeah, it's probably got to be a thing with it. It is actually looking at. It probably puts the request into the formation ability to say, like, how many targets are you affecting? And if they're not in the formation, obviously the formation ability isn't targeting any champions, and so it doesn't show up. So that's likely what's going on there.
That'd be my guess.
So my suggestion would be to dump her into the formation before you level her up.
Okay. Next question.
Yes, here we go. Here's a question from. Oh, we're getting a reminder. Reminder to end 10 minutes early, so Sean can set up for formation. So I'm just reading it out as Martin is typing it into our document to make him feel like he should type faster and feel awkward. Sorry, Martin.
Do we have formation save here? And
I guess
is Sean coming
up
Oh,
afterwards.
I did not know that. Ooh.
That's exciting. Have you guys watched Formation Save? It's a very cool program on this channel where Sean and Taylor will take your formation and then make it better. I think. I hope they make it better.
I think you open a ticket.
Otherwise, they make it worse.
And then.
Oh my God! There's Sean right there.
Okay.
He's in my window.
Well.
Yeah.
I feel like someone could have warned us in that advance. Or maybe they tried and we just weren't paying attention.
Let's just.
All right. So that means we actually only have 5 more minutes.
Oh my God.
So we'll have to figure out something for next time if this is going to, because we do want to get a full set of questions in. But
we'll just have to roll it back. We'll have to say Todd, you have to end 10 minutes early of your interview, and then Todd will go back to whoever's before him. And anyway,
I just want to roll back in the chat here because Garwar quoted you as, "My suggestion is dump her, Justin 2022."
I give not only do I give good formation advice, I also give good dating advice.
That's a deal breaker.
Oh dear.
That is a deal
Let's
breaker.
just move on to some more questions since we only have 5 minutes.
That's interesting then.
We don't have to answer that one. We don't have to answer that one. Let's see. Okay. I mean, I can just ask 24 here.
Sure.
Because it's the next one in the line. This is from Nudasta. The Nudasta.
It's not Nadusta?
Maybe it's Nadust. Let's just talk about their name for the next 5 minutes. Hey Ash,
Shocked anyone listens
can
to
the
us.
Can the level up button work independently for each party rather than having to keep changing it when we switch parties when we want them to be different?
I think it can. I think we should do this.
Okay.
I think it should just save between parties, right? Unless we get some pushback and people are like, no, actually, I insisted it works the same way when I switch parties.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd question.
Okay. We'll think on it. Well, let's think about it.
We'll think about that one. Try and think of the use case for that one. Here's a question from Edermott, who asks, could you add a tab on the character panel for their individual achievements? That would make it a little easier to check on specific champions. So this is just every event champion has, or actually every non-base, every champion. Let me rephrase that. Every champion has an individual achievement to like use their abilities in some way that is either fancy or just happens if you just use them. And so this person's just like, can I see that achievement in the profile so that I can see whether I've done it or not? Sounds like a good idea.
I mean,
the only sort of catch up or hang up here is where do we put it? Because that is a very busy dialogue, the profile dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it would have to, and the achievement list is a fairly large, like the achievement items are fairly large.
Yes. Yeah, in the achievement dialogue.
Yeah, and we could think on that. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to bring them up by champion.
Definitely.
But it might be something that pops up in the achievement dialogue.
Wandering Breath says, cue Justin's weekly pipe dream about reformatting the collections tab and all the progress bars and yes. All the woodland creatures running around and chirping and whatnot.
I mean, I think we'll need like one of those. I need like a sounder for that so I can get the dream sequence.
Yeah.
Because I got this new audio board and all it comes with is. I mean.
Well, that seems pretty.
Oh, sorry, my timing is bad.
Yeah, no, we worked on that before, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
And then here's one more question here that I have highlighted that we could answer.
How about this one instead?
Oh, okay. Here's a question from Fennec with 3 N's, who says, the familiars seem to be leveling champions from left to right, leading to approximately a 3 order of magnitude cost difference between slot 1 and 12 champions. Would it be possible to switch that somehow, like always buy the cheapest upgrade or something like that?
Yes, that's a good question, really. I mean, so it is right that the familiars are leveling them from left to right. I think that is correct. I think
it would make sense
because they're in the same. If it's iterating over the hero boxes down there, then it is going to go from the one on the left to the one all the way to the one on the far right because that's the order that they're in the list. And so,
but with that, like,
the unforeseen side effect.
What is the impact of that? Because like, I guess I'm wondering what this causes, because once you kind of run out of gold, like you are gonna end up in a situation once once everything's kind of maxed out for whatever area you're in, that you're gonna end up buying the cheapest upgrade because that's gonna be the first one that kind of turns green and then gets clicked by the familiars.
Yeah,
if you've got a familiar on every one.
It would certainly very quickly become that.
Yeah, I could see as it's kind of leveling up over time, you could definitely like while you're in that level up process, there could be a difference between the 1st and 12th slot. But once you kind of reach your wall, it feels like it wouldn't really be impactful.
I mean,
I'm sure we could change that, and it wouldn't really impact anything.
Would it even be impactful based on the, like, just as soon as you spent all that gold, or the gold that you can spend at the higher level ones, it immediately goes to the cheaper ones because that's all it can afford, and even if you're not at your wall, right? Well, we can think on that. But that said, it's been asked that we
oh my gosh,
close it or call it a little early so that Sean can get set up. So let's do that.
If we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry. You'll have another opportunity. We'll be live again, as far as I know, at this same time next week, unless Sean doesn't let us. But before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods, Martin and Mars, who I mentioned earlier. They copy your questions into our question stock and generally make things awesome. So thanks, guys.
And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, and enjoying the game. Without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
That's true. We'd have to do something else.
All right. That's it. Enjoy the next show, everyone.
Bye. Oh my God. Sean's coming in the door. He's got a knife. Ah! Ah!